Hello and welcome to the 95th episode of Fur, Fins, and Feathers. We're honored again to have our guest, Bill Ritchie of Middleborough, Massachusetts, who appeared once before many episodes ago, about 50.
Wow.
It's been a long time. Bill, how are you?
I'm fine, Brian, and thank you
good
for
to
having
see
me
you.
back.
As the holidays are now in full swing, a lot of parents might be looking for a pet for their children. What advice would you give them?
Well, number one, I think for them to do a little bit of research and really think about why they're getting the pet, no matter what it may be, especially if it's going to be a dog, to do their research and find either a reputable breeder or if they're going to adopt from the pound, but most of all, know in their hearts that they're ready to take this on, because too many times I've seen where people will get a dog for the Christmas, and I don't recommend getting a dog on Christmas Day, and they think that the children are going to take care of it, and that doesn't happen. And because of that, I've seen people then give their animals up, and I think that's really, really
The novelty wears off after January 1st.
Yes. We have a dog at our house, beautiful, purebred, registered Shih Tzu. And the parents bought the dog for the children. I believe they were only like 5 and 6. And they got rid of the dog, and the reason they gave was the kids weren't taking care of it. I mean, for heaven's sake, a 5 and a 6-year-old, the responsibility is not there. And I think that today, responsibility, there's less responsibility than ever before as far as kids are concerned and their pets.
So how should parents go about acquiring some good knowledge? Yeah. Go to the AKC maybe?
Yes, go to the AKC website, talk to people. If they get to meet maybe breeders. But I think most of all, they need to know in their heart. I think the parents are the ones who need to want the animal. I mean, it's great to have kids grow up with dogs or cats or whatever, but the parents should know best whether it's the kids are going to be responsible. Is it going to be a lasting thing? And it's a whole different story if the parents are really in it and they're going to love the animal and take the responsibility of taking care of it. Then that's a good start.
And the cost as well.
Yes, nowadays, I mean, we were talking earlier about people buying these designer dogs, and a lot of people think they're really cool. They're the cockadoodles and the golden doodles and all this stuff, and they're getting an arm and a leg for them. They're getting more than a purebred dog. The thing is, with a purebred dog, really good, responsible breeders do all the research, the eye exams, the hips. They know genetically, what is good about their dogs, where these designer dogs, they don't. They're just breeding a poodle to anything, or...
It's all about money.
It's all about money, and they're getting top dollar for it. They think... people are fickle. They want what they want, but it's sad. It's sad when you're somebody like us who love our animals, and you see these animals that are given up. We currently have 3 dogs that are what I call throwaway dogs. They bought them, they paid all good money for them, and then they were going to go to the dog pound. Luckily, I was told about the 3 we have, all different times, and save them from having to go to the dog pound. So,
So when you're doing a good thing for them.
yes. Well, they have a forever home.
That's true.
They're not going to go anywhere else. They found their home. I have 3 dogs that I have personally that I wanted. Ringo, my Irish Jack Russell, is one of them. He was a gift from a dear friend of mine, Tracy Burkhead, up in Elliott, Maine. She breeds beautiful Jack Russells. And then I have 2 Aussies from Leslie and Judy Harrington.
Who are friends,
Yes.
and they have wonderful dogs.
So those dogs were on purpose, and the other ones were dogs that needed us. So we were fortunate to get to them before anything bad happened to them.
I'm going to put a plug in for the AKC. Great place, great resource for people to go to their website at akc.org and investigate breeds that they
Breeds.
might not even know about.
Yeah.
There are now 190 some breeds.
Oh, I know. Every year there's
They keep
a new
adding the
one.
list.
Oh my Lord.
And but people can find a breed maybe that they knew nothing about.
Yeah, and I agree, Brian. Too many people don't do enough research, and they don't know enough about the breed that they're getting. They really do need to. It's great to ask a lot of questions and be able to see some of these dogs maybe in somebody else's household or whatever. And some breeds are just not appropriate for the situation that they're being put in. So
It requires a lot of work and time and effort to make a proper choice.
yes, it does. It does. I love dogs. I mean, there's so many breeds that I love to look at. I love to watch them move, their coats, whatever. But I'm educated and smart enough to know that I wouldn't want to live with one. One of the most beautiful.
It's like for me to go to a dog show and watch, like I only do junior showmanship, but I get a variety of breeds. But I get to go home at night.
Yeah, you get, I think one of the most stunning dogs is an Irish setter. Their coats, the color, everything about them, I love them. But I don't know if my lifestyle, they like to hunt and they like to go and they leave the property and all that. And the breeds that we have, they're conducive to their environment, our work. All 6 of our dogs come to work with us every day to the barn, and they fit right in. The little ones, they stay in our tack room, which is heated, and they got their little beds in there because they're too small to be around the horses. But Ringo, Jack Russell's our farm dogs, so he's perfectly suited to be around. And the 2 Aussies are out and about at the farm. Of course, they don't ever wander anywhere. They are glued to your heels. So they follow you everywhere, even into the bathroom.
Talk about your barn work.
Well, we have a large barn in Middleborough. It's actually situated in Rochester. We're right on the town line. We have currently 43 horses. We board them.
What is the name of your facility?
It's Sterling Pointe Farm
Sterling Pointe Farm,
in Rochester. And so we board horses for people. We train horses. We give riding lessons to all ages. My youngest riding lesson person right now is 4 years old. He just turned 4 on the 28th.
You mentioned that the other night, and I was fascinated.
Yeah.
A 4-year-old. You
Yes.
start them young.
Yes. He's been riding since he was 3 and a half. He just had a birthday. And
This week,
yeah, the 28th.
yeah.
Yep.
And but people can go into their advanced ages.
Yes. So I have 2 women who are in their 70s. And actually I had 3. One of them right now is taking some time off because of her husband's health. But, there was 2 of them that had not had good experiences with horses. And so they came to me because they heard that we have a a nice, quiet, and safe program. And so, you know, I'm proud to say that, you know, we take all of the precautions, and safety is foremost. When you're dealing with people that young and that old, not that they're old because I'm the same age, but you think of all of that stuff.
You are quite the artist, too. Talk about your artwork.
Well, last time I was here, we talked a little bit about it. You know, when I was a kid, I loved studying birds. And I have 2 birds right now. I have 2 English budgies that I got from a breeder in Rhode Island. And I just love them. I love the little banter that they have going on all the time. But as a young person, I used to draw birds, and I studied them, and I'd read about them, and I had the Audubon book, and you know, I'd look at the pictures. And to this day, if I see a bird that I'm not familiar with, I love Google on my phone. You know, I'll Google it. I'll put a description in or whatever, and see if I can figure out what it is. So that passion has gone into art. Art was always something that I liked to do. I liked to draw, and when I was in high school,
Now, this is a...
So some of these pictures that I did today, I actually was inspired by a porcelain show that I went to at Shreve, Crump and Low a very long time ago. And so I actually saw these beautiful statues. This one here was probably about this tall, and it's just like I've depicted it in this water. This is actually a mixed media. It's everything. It's watercolor, it's pastel, it's pen and ink. And this is an egret. And so I just love doing it. The detail. The funny thing about this picture was I got it all sketched out, and I put all the fine parts of the feathers in it and everything, and then I started to color it in with the pastels, and I realized I just covered everything up, all my details. So I went back over it after I did it, and I got a kind of a very interesting, kind of a pearl look just from, you know, rubbing things in and all that stuff. So that was kind of a fun picture that I like.
Do you offer gallery shows at the barn?
No, they're at my house. Actually, all these bird pictures that I brought.
And what else did you bring for show and tell?
Yes, show and tell. So these are all in my dining room. So these are in a cluster. This is a Thatcher.
You're quite the ornithologist.
Yeah, it's a, and this is a watercolor. And so it's just, you know, watercolor and pencil. And I did this in 1982.
Very nice.
This is what I consider a real watercolor. This is very, a watercolor should be very fluid, you know, simple. You take the paint to water and put it on, and it's like translucent. So this one, you can actually, if you look at it carefully, you can see the pencil from the sketch, you know, through the water. And this is a chickadee, which I love. Growing up on Cape Cod, we had lots of chickadees. This is a towhee, which I don't see that much anymore, but you used to see them on the Cape a lot. And, you know,
I've never heard of them.
No, they've got, and their sound is, you know, towhee, towhee. But they're kind of a cool little bird. And this probably was in the same era, yeah, 82. There was a point when I must have had more time and I was doing more painting. And now it seems like I don't have enough time because this facility that I run is so big. You know, when I had my own place, we had half those horses. These birds you see sometimes as cage birds, but all cage birds are really wild birds somewhere. These are called cordon bleu. just like the chicken dish that we have.
Very nice.
And this is, I like this one. It's a watercolor. You do see the fine little work all done. There's no pen or whatever in it. And then this, and you know, I always get confused. This was another of the porcelain. So you can see I incorporated the stand that these were on. This was actually the stand on this porcelain. And so I wanted it to look like the ones that I had seen at that exhibit. And I don't think this is a mockingbird. I should have researched it.
Do you still paint?
I wish I did. The last things that I've done is paper mache sculptures.
And you're going to talk about these.
Yeah, you know, I just haven't, to paint, I really got to be able to sit down and be undisturbed and really concentrate. And, you know, it takes a real steady hand and all that stuff. These paper mache, I went to an exhibit down in Woods Hole when I was living in Falmouth. And I saw the cutest little paper mache cowboy. And he had bow legs, and he had Western chaps on, and a hat. And I just thought it was the cutest thing. And I said, I can do that. When I was in high school, I did a 6-foot tall paper mache mouse. And don't ask me why, but it was so cool, and it got a lot of attention. And they used to put it up on stage for various shows. They put a violin in its hand, and or fiddle, and it was on display during the Little Fiddlers concert at school. So it got to be used quite a bit. It was in the foyer of the school when people walked in. So that was kind of fun, you know, a little fun thing. So it got a lot of use. So because I was familiar with paper mache, and that was a grand size, I started big, I started to do, when I saw that horse, that cowboy, I did 3 horses. I did a stallion rearing up, and I had a mare like she was grazing, and a little foal with his tail up over his back. And so that got me hooked. And so I said, well, what more can I do? And I did a series of these. I actually sold some. This is a very old one. And it's a blue heron, and he's preening himself. So his head is fluffing up his feathers and whatnot. And I wanted to see movement. If a breeze comes through the house, this moves. It's mounted on a wooden block, and then I did a edge around it and poured acrylic to look like water. And the ones that I've done later are perfectly clear, and I actually put a fish in it and a turtle. But my little cat nine tails are made, the little heads of the cat nine tails are made with little miniature Christmas bulbs that I broke the tips off and stuck wires up in. So this all starts with a wire frame, and then you start coating it with the paper that is newspaper strips, and I make my own glue with flour and water, and I put a little Elmer's glue in it. So it's primitive. And
yeah, very creative.
Yep. And I tried doing some painting them realistically. It didn't work. So what I learned to do was to paint them, and most of it's spray paint, and they look like metal. So this is a saddlebred, that one of my favorites, and it's kind of fun as the paper is drying. I'll take a pen or something and lift it up to get some movement, you know, like they're running and the hair is moving. And so they don't have, and as they dry, they kind of dry up a little bit, so they really look kind of like hammered metal. These are ones that I've decided to keep. This one I love. I call it my Picasso horse. He looks like an Andalusian. He's got quite a mane on him. And again, there's a lot of freedom with the hair flowing.
Beautiful.
And they weigh nothing, you know. I actually ran them under a little water and patted them dry because they were dusty being on the shelf. But And so I've done, the latest artwork I've done is the paper mache. You can do part of it. You have to let it dry a little bit before you build on it. So.
Do you ever, I probably asked you this the last time, a favorite breed or any favorite breeds?
Of horses or dogs?
Or horses and dogs.
Well.
And pets and birds, and what do you like?
So horses, I grew up, my first connections were with quarter horses. And so they've always been my favorite.
Where did you grow up
on Cape Cod in Harwich. And
are there any horse farms still on?
Oh, Lord, yes, there's more.
There still?
There's more.
Oh, okay.
There's more. The Cape is quite a horsey place. Quite a horsey place.
Okay.
Big, a lot of dressage horses, hunter jumpers, but yeah, there's no lack of horses on Cape Cod. I used to ride my bike to a barn in Dennis. I was in West Harwich, and it wasn't far to go into Dennis, and I started off cleaning some stalls and stuff just so I could ride a horse at the end of the day. But so quarter horses, I just bought a horse, and he arrived July 24th, and he's a paint. What a lot of people don't realize, that a paint horse is basically it's a quarter horse. Their lineage, their pedigree, everything is exactly the same. The quarter horses in the early days, like in the 30s, 40s, 50s, when they started the registry, American Quarter Horse Registry, they had a rule that the resulting foals could not have what they considered excessive white. But because they started from ranch horses and wild horses and stuff, there would always be those babies that would pop out that would have all this white all over them, pintos. And they wouldn't register them. If they had white above the center of the knee, or if they had white that went beyond the corner of the eye and the nostril down lower, or if they had a white patch on them larger than I believe it was a 50-cent piece, they would not register them. Well, after a while, there are so many of these really well-bred horses that were not registered, so these smart Texans started a breed called the American Paint Horse. So genetically, they're the same as a quarter horse. They just have all the color.
And they're quite handsome.
Oh, yes, yes. The horse I just bought he is the most colorful horse you've ever seen. I should have brought a picture with me. He's incredible. His name he's just 3 years old. I saw him, I jokingly tell people that I bought him on Facebook because his picture came up on Facebook. I had looked at so many for a client, and it's one of those, I just scrolled right by it. I was done looking for horses, and I brought it back down again. I said, oh my God. His name was Cheeto. After I bought him, I said, no, his name's not going to be Cheeto. That's his barn name. It's Joey. And he's a Joey. He's so as cute as can be. He had to be safe. I'm 71 now, and I didn't want to be dealing, you don't know with the young horse. He's a dream. He's a dream. He's given me a new outlook for the horse world. So
yeah.
He's a lot of fun. I work him every day, every single day.
And how does he get along with our friend here?
Oh, Ringo just takes care of himself. I mean, he follows me everywhere. The horse doesn't mind him. He doesn't mind the horse. The same with the Aussies. I can't go to the back barn and get Joey without everybody following and then back out again. They're all there. I have pictures of the dogs when I'm working a horse in the ring. They're all lying right there, right in the middle of the ring. So
I bet your clients love them too.
They do. They spoil the hell out of them. Yeah, there's always dog cookies. I said, well, when I get home, I'm not going to have to feed the dogs because they've had so many cookies today from the clients coming in. They love it. And as far as dogs, the breeds that that I'm passionate about are the ones that I had and I showed. For first the Australian Shepherd, and then through a friend of mine, I got involved in miniature pincers. And a mutual friend of ours, Tom Baldwin, Kathy Helming, who is really big in the show world. She lives in Connecticut. She had min pins, and we co-owned them and helped each other show. It was a lot of fun. And then from there, I got into Italian Greyhounds. And they kind of go hand in hand with the miniature pincers because they're another small, short-haired breed. And I got involved with them, and then it was time to get something that maybe I could incorporate into my breeding program. I didn't do a lot of breeding, but it's always nice when you make a champion to then go on. I bought 2 beautiful Italian Greyhounds from Carol Harris, who owned a famous farm down in Reddick, Florida, and she had a horse that was known worldwide named Rugged Lark, but she also was one of the top Italian Greyhound and Whippet breeders in the country. And it was Bobet Farm, Bobet Kennel.
Whippets are a fascinating breed.
They are.
I've had a couple of people on the show who came with their Whippets, and it's very interesting.
Yeah.
And the Whippet, as they both owners explained, the Whippets are a very versatile breed as well.
Yes. Yep. And the one thing, with people think that like the Italian Greyhound are very fragile, and you do hear about them breaking their legs and stuff because they're, you look at them, they look delicate. But I've read lots of articles, and I found it to be true myself. They can't just be a house dog. You hear more that they break a leg when they jump off the couch onto a hardwood floor or something like that. Something simple. They need to get out and run because the exercise is what gives them bone mass and muscle mass to make them stronger, so they aren't just going to break when they jump off of something.
In my work with kennel clubs lately, I am seeing so many people are getting away from conformation, and they are going into performance.
Yep. The agility and
agility
all that
and
it was just kind of fun.
Dog,
yeah.
And play,
I love to see it
performance
when they
sports.
do both. When they're doing conformation and doing the agility and the scenting and all that other stuff.
Well, we are almost coming to an end.
We just started.
I just want to put a plug in for I will be on Sunday at Eric Latender's training facility in Westport, Massachusetts, and he will be doing Pets with Santa.
Oh, nice.
Which is nice, our holiday theme.
Yep.
And he's also doing a big promotion to help the Fairhaven Animal Shelter.
That's great.
And I will be there this weekend.
We do some sponsorships and make money for our local animal shelters as well. We put on several things during the year. 100% of the money goes to the shelters.
And I'm hearing from, in my work around, a lot of people are families and a lot of elderly people who have pets sometimes can't afford to keep the animals the food.
Yeah.
They can't afford the food and related expenses.
Which, as we know, is skyrocketing now.
So these are all good endeavors.
Yep.
It was great to see you again.
Thank you, Brian. Thanks for having me back.
Happy holidays, and thank you again.
Thanks.